Okay, as you can see, the cotter key is out. The nut's been broken loose and it's been backed out most of the way, not all the way. Now, we want to be easy with this. These things generally aren't in there that tightly. I mean, they are, but it's not a huge effort to get them out. And I really don't like using those pickle forks on these because you can see the seal's in good shape and I don't want to risk tearing it up. So what we want to do is we're going to alternate whacking the side of this spindle here where this goes in. Right here on this side, I'm going to whack it with a hammer and also do a few gentle whacks down here with this thing. Just mainly hit here and then go back and do this, and pretty soon it's probably going to pop on out pretty easy. So let's see what we can do with that. Don't know if I can set you up there or not. I'll just do this one-handed. I can do some stuff pretty good one-handed, not everything. Let me see here. Where's my hammer at? There it is. Alright. Let's see here. I'm not putting much force at all in this thing. There it is. You see what I did? I mainly whacked the hell out of this side here. It kind of shocks it, but you don't want to be whacking on this thing very much. Hammering it, whatever you want to say. Come that out. Just put that over there to the side. We're done with that right now. Let's put the nut back on it. And this axle, actually, this was easier of the two to get started. I hardly had to hit this at all. It slipped in half an inch already, so I think it's going to be good to go on that. Now, let me show you here. Let me move the light. I want to show you about this bolt down here in this lower ball joint. This is another, I think actually this one, yeah, I think this, whoops, sorry about that. This is a 3-bolt here, just a bolt. It's got a nut on the other end of it. And let's see, get my light up a little better here. Let's see what we're dealing with. Knock my heater out. Ooh, whoops. Whoops. Sorry about that. Come on, stupid light. I curse this light every time I use it, but it's a pretty good old light. Anyway, what this is a bolt here with a nut on the other side of it, and you got to take this thing all the way out. So you got to have a 14 socket and a 14 wrench, or two 14 wrenches. I think you got to have a socket and a wrench both on this, and you just tap that thing out gently. It's might be kind of stuck in there. Don't beat the end of the threads up like I just told you. And once you get that thing out, this thing is the stud on this ball joint here is kind of got a scalloped out place all the way around it, and this is just a kind of a, well, it's kind of a pinch bolt type deal. And for me, this has always been the hardest part of it right here, because it's like I can't really get the camera in here to show you. I can show you after I get it all apart, but just envision that this is kind of like a battery cable, top post battery cable end here, and this nut and bolt kind of pinches it together around that. But the way it is, the way it's set up, you'll see it when we get all apart, is this thing it retains that stud. Once this bolt's in here like this, even if it's not even tightened up, that stud just can't go out because it physically cannot move past it. It's scalloped out around it. So it's a pretty good setup, but it's just kind of a bear to get this thing apart. And I don't know how much of it I'm going to actually be able to show you, but basically just tell you that take the nut and bolt all the way out of it, and then if you got like some device to be able to kind of pry that apart, you can try that, but I think that actually didn't work on me. I think I just had to kind of get up here. I had to start prying between this carefully between the top of that ball joint stud and this axle with something, and knock on the side of it just with a hammer like it just did on the other one, just bap, 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 bap. And it finally popped loose. And you can see this, I hope, oops, where am I? There we go. You see this ball joint boot is in pretty bad shape. It's split all the way around, so I'm going to see if that's okay. I hope I don't have to replace the ball joint. The other one was pretty tight still. So at the very least, I'm going to just repair this as best as possible and repack it with grease and take some, once I get back apart, I'm going to take, back together, I'm going to take some urethane, rubber sealer stuff and go all the way around it as best possible and let it cure up, prolong its life a little bit longer. So anyway, so grab your 14 socket and 14 wrench and get started and pull this bolt out, and we'll pick up once we get that apart. Alright, well, it might be kind of hard to see, but I've got that ball joint broke loose now. It's just kind of hanging around in there. This is kind of one of these situations where you have to gee-haw around with this thing to get about 2 or 3 things done here. First thing is we want to get the axle pushed out of here the rest of the way. But in the meantime, we're going to have a way to get this spindle loose. So what we're going to do is we're going to loose the 2 bolts up here that hold it to the strut. These are 17s, and just break the nuts loose, take the bolts out, and this whole thing is going to kind of be doing this number when you do that. So when you got that going on, you may want to go ahead and try to push in this axle some more, and at the same time you'll be able to hopefully start lifting it off and prying it off this ball joint down here. And I can't really just tell you exactly what order to do this. You just got to kind of figure it out for yourself. But one thing is, be sure you don't pull this axle loose, like right here with the nut. You know, don't be pulling on this thing. You want to be pushing this in as much as possible, and while you're doing everything else. I know it kind of may not make a whole lot of sense, but just don't be pulling the axle like that, because you could, pull it apart, and that ain't good. So just just go ahead and start tapping this thing in as far as it'll go, and then do your other thing and just work it all out, and then this thing will all come off as an assembly here. Back in a bit. Okay, I wanted to show you, I got these nuts backed off here, and just real quick I want to kind of illustrate how far in I tapped this axle. I hope you can see it. See how far it is in there off the hub. It's about right here. And what I did is just gently tapped it. I used this is a screwdriver I used. You can see that, kind of long Phillips, large Phillips. I just tapped this thing in, and when it got in as far as it was going to go, it stopped. I mean, it was like, tap, 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 then it went conk, conk, conk. You can tell, you can tell when it stopped. So now I'm going to use my hammer and this small punch here to tap these bolts out. And like I said, when these things come out, this whole thing's gonna be this whole spindle's gonna be, so you need to have all 3 hands holding this thing. Don't let it get out of control. But the reason why I'm using this punch is because, like I told you, I've done this mistake before more than once, and what I'm trying to make it clear not to do is don't be whacking on the end of these bolts with a hammer like this, because it's okay if you got a plastic hammer. I don't have one, I broke mine, but you'll deform these things and there'll be junk. You won't be able to reuse them. So do not ever whack bolts like this, try to knock them out with a hammer like this. Never. And I was going to show you here also, this is the bolt that goes in this ball joint down here, and it goes like that. And I think I'm going to have to get another nut for this, because this one put up a fight. I didn't expect it to, but it sure did. And so I'm going to pick one of those up tomorrow. I'll take the bolt with me. Lowe's, or what's that place that does all the bolts, Fastenal. I'm not too happy with Fastenal. Every time I go in there, they either don't have what I need or try to sell me 100 of them. whatever it is. So I usually just go to Lowe's or Home Depot. You can get grade 8 stuff just like this easily there. Alright guys, I'm going to finagle this all apart here and pick back up in a minute. Alright, here it is, success at last. It's a boy! Piece of stuff. Trying not to cuss on my videos anymore. Alright, this was not that hard to do. Basically what I did is I got this slipped out of here, and it did just slip out, you know, just kind of pulled out, and then I just kind of let it hang here. This was the hardest part to get it off of this thing, so I waited till last, and I just went ahead and knocked this axle in, and it just went right, you know, the whole thing just did exactly what I wanted. So it's safely hanging here. You don't have to do anything else with this axle, nothing with it, just ignore it right now. And let me show you this ball joint. You see how what I was talking about right here, how it's scalloped out, and that bolt holds it like that. See what I mean? It just can't go out. That's why I didn't have a cotter key up here. And this thing is still tight. 184,000 miles, and it's still tight. You tell me, please, somebody tell me why the domestic manufacturers cannot manufacture or source ball joints that last 100,000 miles, yet little old Mazda can put some on here that even with a damn grease boot broken on them, they're still tight after over 200,000 miles. Alright, so here's what you're dealing with. This is the bearing right here, and then there's a hub that rides. This is the hub part right here. This is a spindle, and this is the, you see when I turn it right here, you see how it's, the inside part's staying still. Well, that has to be, this part here has to be pressed out of this, and then this bearing has to be pressed out of this. Kind of a silly arrangement, but that's how it is. So I'm going to give this thing a turn here and see how it feels. It sure was making a lot of noise. Oh yeah. Let's see if you can turn that off. I know you can't see anything, but let me just put you down here on the ground. You can look at the ground, but listen to this thing. You hear that? Wheel bearings are not supposed to make that kind of noise. So it's shot. But you know what the weird thing is about this wheel bearing is it's not loose. You would think that it would be like really rattling around, but it's not. It's tight, and hopefully I can get out without having to put a hub on it, because the dang hub's like $79. I saw one there at the machine shop. They do a bunch of them, and he knew exactly what to look for on the hub. But I think he told me there's 2 inside races and 1 outside, and the outside race is the one that runs on this hub here. And I saw one of these in their little bin that they throw junk in, metal junk, I guess. And then, man, that thing had worn a groove on that hub like a shoot. I don't know, maybe a 1/4 inch deep in that thing. It was horrible. But this one's tight, so hopefully the hub's okay. She's off. It's not really a bad job. It's just kind of, you know, if you never have done one before, it may be kind of intimidating, but it's not hard. You do this one, and you'll know how to do every other one, because they're all basically the same. Just simply break the axle nut loose, take it off, loosen the wheel, jack the car up, let the wheel hang, take the lugs and the wheel off, take the brake caliper off, loose, let it hang, take the rotor, slip the rotor off, take the tie rod off, take the lower ball joint off, take the strut mounts off, disassemble. So, alright guys, well, that's the end of this. Now I don't